With each challenge, I found strength I didn't know I had. It was in those toughest moments when everything seemed impossible that I discovered my purpose, one that's been driving me ever since. This struggle gave me a unique perspective and understanding of what it means to be a patient, to be vulnerable, to need someone to believe in you when you barely believe in yourself. And that experience has driven me to help others in the way that I was helped.
Okay, so let's get started, kind of. I'm just gonna ask you questions. How do I run this? Okay. Let's start with this. Who are you?
Okay. Well, I'm Angelina, obviously, but I feel like there's like a specific moment that I'll share that kind of shaped who I am today that happened a little bit ago, but it's like made me who I am. Actually, 6 years ago today, my life completely changed because one moment I was just like living my life as like any other kid, and then the next I was in a hospital bed facing something that I never saw coming. I almost died, and it wasn't just once, it was over and over again. I went through 6 hospitalizations over the course of 3 years, and each one lasting months on end, and every time was filled with pain, like this uncertainty and overwhelming fear that I might not make it through. So I was rushed from one hospitalization from another as this like little kid, and each time wondering if it would be my last. But despite like the physical toll, despite the exhaustion, I never gave up. I refused to let what I was going through define who I was. With each challenge, I found strength I didn't know I had. It was in those toughest moments when everything seemed impossible that I discovered my purpose, one that's been driving me ever since. This struggle gave me a unique perspective and understanding of what it means to be a patient, to be vulnerable, to be someone to believe in you, to need someone to believe in you when you barely believe in yourself. And that experience has driven me to help others in the way that I was helped, to be the kind of doctor that not only treats, but empowers and inspires creativity, because creativity provides hope and quickens healing, as I've learned from my experience. That's why I've decided to dedicate myself to helping others, not just those like me, but anyone in care, compassion, and hope. This moment has taught me that this isn't just a dream for me to become a doctor, a pediatric doctor. It's my purpose. I will become a pediatric, either cardiosurgeon or neurosurgeon, which related to my condition, because I've lived on the other side of medicine and I know what it means to be vulnerable, to search for hope, to rely on the hands of a doctor, and one day I hope to be those hands for someone else. So that's like an experience that's kind of shaped who I am, and I've been pursuing it, like those ideas ever since, like reflecting it. So
That is a pretty crazy story. I'm so sorry you had to go through that,
yeah, no, it's
but
like
you're alive.
yeah. Oh god.
Okay, so let's start with this. What happened
Mm.
specifically?
Yeah, so basically, through my journey of like being hospitalized and stuff like that, I had 6 hospitalizations, and I've realized one kind of like story
May
that
I ask, hospitalized from what?
okay, I don't really want to focus because it's like a lot
You're good. You're good. Okay.
of my brain and like my heart. It's just like very. I kind of want to focus on what I've done since then. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, basically, what happened was during my hospitalizations, like what I've realized from like a patient perspective, and because I have that unique perspective, is I started to draw like the heart and the brain because I've been interested in medicine and this kind of like pursued that. For example, like when I was hospitalized, like all the students, the doctors, the nurses, and the caregivers, they kind of like helped me hold on to my dream of pursuing medicine, which was something that was I'm very grateful for, and I want to reciprocate the care that was given to me. I used medicine as an artistic expression, and I my caregiver actually introduced me to the Netter's Anatomy coloring book, and we used to like test each other on it. And then I used to when the doctors did their rounds, I like learned everything and they would give me feedback on what I learned. And I think I learned through my experience. I did crochet, I did, a lot of artistic stuff, and it's taught me that that kind of is what provides me with hope. And when someone believes in you when you don't believe in yourself, and even in those like toughest times, like I want to be that person to help. So what I've been doing ever since, obviously I'm not in medical school yet or anything, but right now I've been going bedside at UCLA. I started this like program with myself where basically I go and I teach crochet to patients, and I just go to each room, and it's really made an impact, and I've seen it made a really big impact if it just provides like this hope that the patient like actually is able to create something when like, you know, they could be in like the toughest time and like because I've been there and I know how hard it can be, just like feeling like it's never gonna end. And there was like this one patient, and I took her outside of her room and we went and we crocheted. And I mean, I've never, the nurse said like she didn't really smile much, like she just was like at a loss of hope and she was laughing the whole time. And that same day, I wasn't able in my time to go see another patient, and the mother actually came to me to the elevator. She was like, "Please, please come see my patient. I mean, please see my daughter because she really like is in a hard time." And so I went and I was like, I'm sorry, like I can't." And then the next day was my birthday, but I actually went back and helped her on my birthday because I felt like that was like needed, because I know what it's like to be there. And just if anyone can provide you, just even if it's like for 2 hours, a little bit of hope through crochet, it really like makes an impact. And another thing I've done since then is my nonprofit, which, because of my experience, my condition was not caught until like late, and until it was like really severe to the point like I was rushed to the hospital in the ambulance. I almost went into like cardiac arrest, but it wasn't caught that until that late. So my nonprofit, basically, I created it in order to provide, especially because my parents are immigrants, and so they don't really know much, and there was not as many resources available about my condition. And so basically, my nonprofit does is I create these events, these sports days, 8 different sports that I introduce these people to, these underprivileged, under-resourced people, in order to provide them with the right resources so that they can I can inspire creativity, because like they might not know sports or something like that, and ways to live like a healthy lifestyle. And I also provide people with like local doctors, resources that they can go to, and it's easily accessible. There's actually one like person from one of my events. We've impacted over 500 individuals because for each event we get around like 120 to 200 kids. So it's a really big turnout. And one actually person that still I think about is this little boy who he was born with no legs, and he came to one of our events, and he's always loved soccer. He is like, his dream was he always watches soccer, and he's always wanted to play it, but obviously he's felt like left out. Especially he's an immigrant and he just came to the United States and he just felt really left out. So what I did was I was able to help him to play in one of our sports days soccer, and like all the kids like wanted to play with him, and I made it work like that. And his mother did not really know any doctors around or anything. And that can be a big issue that I keep seeing in my events, that like every time there's like this lack of resources, this lack of the ability to even like, get the help that they need. And so I provided him with some wheelchair sports, like local wheelchair sports nearby, local doctors, and then even housing. I helped them find local housing, and now they're okay. I mean, his brother and his dad was like stuck in another country, and they finally came back and they're all good now. But it's just like making that impact. And even through all of the events that I've made with Marked by You, because I want people to make their mark. Like I through my condition and my disability, I didn't let it define me, even though it was like really difficult to like just like give up, and like when you feel like there's no hope left. Um I feel like you need that like push. So that's why I named it Marked by You, because it's like people still need to make their mark in the world and like make their impact regardless of what disability that they have. And so yeah, even in doing this, I've started a research project that I've not completed yet, but from seeing so many events, like I've made like 6 different events, sports days events, and through seeing just all these people that are impacted and they don't have the help that they need, especially because I've been through, when it got so severe that it was even harder to recover because my condition got so bad. I'm starting a research project where I'm looking to see exactly what those healthcare barriers are, so that I can better help more people as a whole in providing the best care, like the best things that they need. What are the specific resources? What can I really help with overall, so I can reach a bigger amount of people and help as many people as possible? But it's not only that, the crochet and like stuff like that, about the patient themselves, but it's also about their parents too. So that's why after also, like, going bedside and teaching crochet for the pediatric patients and inspiring the creativity so that they could heal faster, because I really do believe from my experience that these, like, creative things that I was able to do and that I taught myself and stuff like that actually improved my recovery greatly because, once you feel that, like, hope and you feel like there's something to look forward to, there's something that I actually made. Like, I made this crochet blanket. Like, I made that even though I'm sitting in a hospital bed and I feel like, you know, I'm a kid and all my friends are, there's just like that sense of like I did something and it looks amazing. And so it's also the parents too. So I started this crochet workshop at UCLA where basically I go and while their kids are playing in like the playhouse or whatever, I would teach the parents to crochet, how to crochet because they also take a big toll. I can see like how much even just like the pediatric patient has a condition, the parents are greatly impacted. That kind of helped relieve some stress from the parents and they're able to make something. And even for their child too. Like I helped them make a ton of stuff for their child so that they could take it back to their room and show them and they could also provide like some sort of happiness and support for their child while also like relieving them from stress because like what can they do also is like a big kind of impact. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to teach another one. There was a lot of parents that came to the last one. They were like, so I'm actually doing another one today, but
Yeah. Let's start with that was a great introduction, first of all.
oh,
There's a
yeah.
lot of things that you covered. One thing that I really want to mention is I'm really glad. This kind of sounds gloomy, but I'm really glad that you know exactly what it feels like and that you want to become, sorry,
Yeah.
a
Yep.
doctor one day. And you one thing that you care a lot about is bedside manner. So I go to this university called McMaster University, and it's very famous for its nursing program. And one thing about the nursing program here is a lot of these nurses, not a lot, but quite like more than necessary, don't care at all, right? It's like it's a pretty good paycheck, it's a pretty good job, and that's like the extent of it, right? Caring about the patient and going through something that you personally have gone through is going to give you like a different perspective. I have this one friend who's also a nurse, and he's a brilliant nurse. Like recently, he himself had to go to the hospital because one of the patients like was falling, and he just used his body and caught the patient and like wrecked his back just for the patient. And it kind of just shows the character, right? Him willing to just go this far for the patient. For you, it's maybe not something as crazy as that, but maybe more, right? Like he because he cares about the patient, he becomes a nurse. For you, because you know exactly what it feels like, you are pushing yourself to become a doctor and trying to go through these, like it's not easy becoming a doctor, right? And yeah, I'm very very glad you know exactly what, I guess, how important bedside manner is. And because you can empathize with a patient, you can put like a different level of care than everyone else. On top of that, I also wanted to mention, I like that you also talk about the parents or the families of these patients. One thing that most people don't, well, they kind of do know, but they don't really acknowledge is it's tough for the families too, the families of the patients of whatever they're going through. I mean, that's why there's a lot of support groups. I used to be in this program called Asperger's Society. One thing is we would host support groups for the parents too. And when we started it, we thought it wouldn't be too popular, but we had a few suggestions for it. So we're like, why not? And we realized, oh yeah, they need help. At least they need a support group to kind of talk about it so that they're not the only ones going through it, because it's not easy. And I can imagine with these patients, with these people that you're going to help, it won't be easy. So just having this kind of different perspective, going from like a first-hand perspective, definitely gives you a bit of an edge. Not just an edge, but like when you become a doctor, you perform very differently. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of hitting on like what you said about like the nurse and I've actually gotten my CNA license, my certified nursing assistant license, because a lot in my hospitalization, the CNA's really played a big role, and I want to do everything I can to help. So right when I turned 16, which is the age that you can become a nursing assistant, I got my license, and I would during my nursing school, I would go to the Santa Paula Post Acute and volunteer there every weekend from 7:30 to 4:30, Saturday and Sunday. And, I was willing to I mean, I changed a brief, I changed some things that may not be as
Yeah.
glorifying or stuff that may not be I mean, obviously, And there's definitely some patients they're really going through, and I'm able to like see, some of them are not so nice, obviously, but they're going through something, and I'm able to see like it's okay. Like I feel for them, even though they're like very upset and very irritated. I know.
Actually, how is that? Like,
Yeah.
if you're comfortable, can you talk to me about any specific situations that you have? Because that is the kind of stuff that I dreaded. Like, I was thinking about becoming, like, going to sciences, become doctor, kind of stuff, or a nurse. And one of the things I dreaded is I guess, the really, really bad interactions you have with, let's say, patients who aren't as grateful. So, can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, of course. So, actually, there was one patient that, so they have the call lights, whatever. So they'll ring the call light, and this specific patient couldn't really get out of bed, so she needed to get her brief changed every little bit. So I fed her, and I go around feeding as well, and then, she kept pressing her call light, very irritated, and then screaming, very upset. And I get it because, you're stuck there. It's a very hard time. But I was able to see this side in her that, she may be feeling vulnerable in the sense of like, I've been here for so long. I feel like I just can't do this anymore type of thing. And so I sympathized for her. I came and I got all this stuff to change her brief, and she was like, screaming at me like I'm go faster, whatever. But I was able to just be like, she is going through something and I've been there before, and I know where her frustration can be coming from, and it may not be coming out in the nice way, but deep down she feels vulnerable. I mean, I'm changing her brief. Maybe she feels just a sense of like she wants to be able to do it herself. She wants to be able to, recover fast. And so that just I mean, I felt for her, and every time she would press her call light, no matter how many times, I went, and I whatever she asked, I would go get for her because I could sense where she's coming from.
That's Sorry to cut you off. No,
Yeah.
that's actually really perfect because, I mean, you kind of hit it spot on. Like, her psyche, she's very vulnerable. She's just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in a situation where someone has to change my brief. It makes me feel incompetent. Makes me feel like I am not who I thought I was. And then that's why she kind of is rude towards you and acts out. You actually hit it like right on the dot. I'm very happy that you phrase it exactly like that. Like, wow, it must be it must be tough. How old are you?
I just turned 17.
17, and you're already dealing with this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And it's not like just dealing, because most people, once you kind of see, I don't want to say the ugliness in the world, but how let's say insecurities can make you do bad things, and once you get exposed to that, it's a little tough, and you're just like taking it fully graciously, giving them the benefit of the doubt, completely understanding where they're coming from. That is actually perfect, kind of like the perfect mentality to have when you're in something like hospitality, or when you're becoming a doctor. Nursing. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Wait, sorry. I was gonna give another instance, but
Go ahead. Yeah. Perfect.
okay, yeah, there's also this, I mean, just going because I've been there so many times. Sometimes there's patients that are like, there was one patient really frantic. She lost something, can't find it, screaming, where'd it go? Where'd it go? But I was able to like help her find it. And then there's also this hospice patient that I had to deal with. First time dealing with a hospice patient, and I wanted to help her in the best way that I could. Because, I mean, normally in that facility, they don't have hospice patients, but this was a special case. And she had pneumonia, and she was just like, very resistant to whatever, like didn't want it. Like I came to feed her and help her, but she just like very resistant. No, 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 no. But once I sat with her and I like tapped her on the chest, because in order for her not to aspirate, I would just keep tapping her on the chest. And once I took the time, like I spent maybe like an hour and a half just sitting bedside with her and, waiting with her, letting her like process, because they need someone to actually be there and sit with them. I mean, the floor I was on was very low staffed, and so she needed someone to literally sit there and, sit with her while she thinks and she kind of processes what's going on and knows that it's going to be okay. So I would pat her and be like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Take your time. And like once she felt that sense, someone really cares about me. Someone really wants to advocate with me. Like when I had gone to her in her room the first time, she was just like completely lost hope. She was like pushing, shoving the tray. It almost felt like she was so, so upset. and just like completely lost all sense of hope. And once she felt that, like, I literally brought a chair and I sat next to her, she felt like someone really cares about me, someone really wants me to feel better, and like just any sort of comfort. And she then, once I like sat, like after maybe like 50 minutes or so, she was like, okay, I want to eat something. And she did. I mean, she ate a lot. Then the nurse never seen her eat that much before. And I mean, it's really, I feel like it's really important to actually like make them know you care. You actually care for them and you're willing to spend as much time as you can in order for her to feel better. Because that's, once they feel that sense of like hope, recovery is so much smoother and faster.
Yeah, this reminds me of one population that actually experiences this a lot is kids at risk. And what happens very often, let's say if some kids go into a foster home, is like, especially the ones that have been through a lot, will just start acting out like crazy. And I mean, it's a very, very common story where they act out like crazy and then they're just testing to see how much can you deal with. I want to see when you will crack. Do you really like want the best for me, or are you just one of like everyone else, right? And it's like the exact same situation. I also wanted to tell like a, I don't want to say a short story because it's kind of long, but like it starts off weird, and I guarantee it kind of relates back to the what you're talking about. So recently, I've been studying Freud. Have you heard of Sigmund Freud?
Sigmund Freud.
This guy's such a genius. But so one thing I was studying is how trauma works and how kind of like defense mechanisms, all that kind of stuff manifests in your mind. One thing is, let's say like you're a young boy, age of 6, something like that, and you're like really sad or you need comfort or you just want someone to play with, you go to your uncle, someone who supposedly loves you, and your uncle just like slaps you across the face or yells at you or just blows up at you or something like that. And most boys or like most people at that age will just be very hurt, and they will like, what happens a lot of time is they either block it out now, one of the, or repression, or just one of the defense mechanisms, because in their mind it's like, if someone who is supposed to love me, if someone who's supposed to care for me is willing to do this kind of thing to me, what does that say about the world? What does that say about everyone else? And this is how, let's say, trauma is created. This is how defense mechanisms are created. This is how you create, like, let's say a kid who has a lot of trouble. And see, the solution there is, as a young child at the age of 6, the solution is to have the intellect to kind of think, hey, this is kind of like the uncle hitting me kind of represents the fall of mankind. But me as a human being, it is my responsibility to always aim upwards, to always assume the best, or like not in naivety, but like through wisdom, just assume the best and act that way, right? So it's very hard for someone on the age of 6 to kind of fathom this or have this kind of mentality. Now, see, it's a long story, but it carries on to what you're talking about, because it can happen like very, very similar things with these patients, because they may act out, they may have these insecurities, they may have these things that, let's say, are a little tough, and then you're seeing these defense mechanisms or trauma responses, PTSD, something, right? Like it's just something there, and you're like, huh, that's interesting. Most nurses, most doctors, their ego would act up or something along those lines, and then they would be like, did you just slap me or did you just cuss me? Okay, I'm not changing your briefs, you could just sleep in those, right? But I'm very glad that you're able to see past it. You're able to see the vulnerability, like the vulnerable part of the personality that this comes from, and is able to act accordingly and actually help them the way they need to be helped. It is the kind of psychology thing that I've been trying to study and become, but you're already doing it. So that's amazing. On top of that, you're able to have the kind of, let's say, intellect to understand these things as well, because these patients who you're supposed to help, they shouldn't be hurting you, but you're like, oh no, I'm gonna assume the best, I'm gonna aim upwards, I'm gonna constantly just think, this person isn't trying to hurt me, this person is just acting out because of their own reasons or their own let's say unresolved psyche or something like that. And then that's why I'm gonna help them, and I'm gonna give them the compassion that no one else in my position would. So that's amazing. Long story, but see, it related.
No, yeah.
That is, yeah, that is quite amazing. I'm speechless. Wait, yeah, you're saying something, or?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, at UCLA, I also work as a patient transport person, where basically I take patients from whatever floor they go to, either to like radiology, like to get a scan, or, discharge them completely. And there was actually this one patient so I normally do like a 6-hour shift there. And one patient, towards like the end of my shift, I went and she was supposed to get picked up, right? So we went and I went to go pick her up, but she was like very resistant to the nurses there. Like they had a ton of nurses to help because she was very resistant. And then once we finally were going to go to the pharmacy, and then we were going to go discharge to the emergency department where her friend was supposed to pick her up. But then her friends, we went down after we went to the pharmacy. She was very like, what's the word? To the pharmacist, very like upset with the pharmacist, whatever, and upset with me because she was having, she was going through something, and I just felt for her. It doesn't matter how she kind of like portrayed it, like we were kind of talking about. And so then we went to the emergency department and we were waiting maybe an hour or so. And then her friend didn't show up. And then we were like, okay. And I was like, oh, do you know, like, maybe I'm at the wrong spot, whatever. And she was like, my friend's coming, whatever. And then her friend didn't come and we waited maybe half an hour or so. So I went to go because she was one of those, she was shaking, freezing. So to make her comfortable, I went and I got some heat packs, some blankets. We sat inside and then I just like helped her, feel a little comfortable until her friend comes. And I sent my pager gets paged and the dispatch people are like, where are you still on the same call? It's been a long time. Like, what are you doing or whatever? And then she tells me, the patient, she's like, yeah, my friend apparently she's not coming. She's like, can you talk to her? So I talked to her friend and her friend's like screaming, saying like, she told me to pick her up, whatever. And I've been waiting for so long. So I left. And then that was the point where I was like, I really sympathized with this patient. I didn't know what to do. So I was like, after we waited for a long time, then the dispatch people paged me again after I had found that out. And I was like, what do I do? And but before she told me that her friend wasn't coming, they were like, the dispatch people were like, you can leave her. It's okay. Like, just sit her on the couch and you can go because you have other calls. It's been too long. But I could not leave this patient alone. I mean, I've been giving her heat packs. She's been shaking. She's been really irritated. And, I couldn't just leave her. So I ended up staying with her 2 hours past my shift, stayed with her for 4 hours. And then at that point, I got paged maybe like 4 times to like figure out what I should do. Um, and in the end, they were like, okay, then you can take her to the room. She wanted to go back up, and then her friend was screaming. I mean, it was a big situation, but I was able to get her back home safe and get her a ride and stuff like that. But I mean, I was willing to stay however many hours in order to make sure that she got home safe and she was okay, regardless of the way maybe she portrayed her feelings to me. I just felt like she needed that care and that support, regardless of how she may be showing her feelings, because everyone shows their feelings very differently. Like we were talking about, like the Sigmund Freud idea and the trauma and how it gets portrayed. So, yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of,
that's not easy, especially staying past your shift, 2 hours past your shift, even when like all your shifts are, well, not to all, but like it's not easy, the work that you do, especially when you're willing to stay that far out. Even for me, I have like a lot of work I have had before, and I love working. Then staying, I don't know, for me personally, when I think of staying past my shift, even just not doing that, I sometimes have this resentment or something different. And I really admire that. Just, are you paid for your position there? No, just volunteer. You just stay 2 hours past.
yeah.
Wow, that is not easy. But I mean, once again, it definitely comes from someone who has that firsthand experience, someone who understands how the patient feels, and just has that different kind of passion for your field. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. We've talked a lot about kind of your career, kind of what you've been doing, your personal experiences. I kind of want to raise a thought experiment. What I want to ask is, what kind of impact do you want to have on others? And the reason why I ask this is because I think you more or less already know like a general idea, but I want to solidify it. So, what kind of impact do you want to have on others?
So the impact that I aim to have on others is to empower and inspire creativity, because I feel like inspiring creativity is like the key thing that keeps people going, like keeps that drive for whatever they want to do, whatever passion they want to do. It doesn't matter, but inspiring creativity, inspiring hope is like the key to their success, to the key to their happiness and being able to do whatever they want to do. For example, I have a FemSTEM club, which is basically that inspires, young girls in elementary, middle school, high school that want to pursue STEM. whatever aspect of STEM that they want to pursue, these girls in STEM. And once a year, I create this field day where I invite foster kids, elementary schools nearby my school, and we go into this idea lab I have at my school, and all aspects of STEM. I create these workshops. So each station will have some sort of aspect of STEM. So we'll have volunteers come. And for example, on the last one, I led the suturing workshop. And then each, elephant toothpaste was another one for chemistry. Dissection was another one. Computer science, like making some 3D AutoCAD thing. And for statistics, like for the math aspect, we did like counting M&Ms. And I mean, being able to expose especially these foster kids that maybe haven't gotten this exposure to STEM, but maybe this is their dream, There was one that it was their dream to pursue STEM, and she was a little scared to pursue it. But by me showing her like sutures and all of this stuff, I mean, it really made an impact in her life that she's like, yes, this is what I want to do. I've had some exposure and I know it's possible. Like, really, again, providing hope in something, whatever it is their weakness will have, that like maybe they don't have hope, they don't have that confidence to pursue. I want to help them do that, because ultimately that's what's going to drive them and like secure their happiness and inspiring that creativity. And that girl, she really, I mean, in the beginning, I remember teaching her some sutures and she was just like really scared, like, oh, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it kind of mindset. And then towards the end, she was like, this is something I really love doing and I want to keep going. I'm not scared. I mean, we had I had a long conversation with this girl, but I mean, at the end, she was really inspired. And I feel like that's the impact that I want to have on everyone, that they know they can do it. They can pursue their dream, and whatever it is, however I can inspire the creativity in them, like I want to do. And I mean, that aligns also with, I don't know if you're familiar with the HOSA club, like the health and professionals. It's like a
Not
national.
particularly.
Okay. No, it's okay.
Sorry.
So basically, initially in freshman year, I had co-founded with some other in my grade, the health sciences club. And the goal was to just connect students, I mean, passionate about medicine, to go into medicine and just like have that community, that sense of community where like we all want to do this. And then, it's supposed to help go volunteer all together, make an impact in the world together. And also we did the anatomage tournament, which is basically like a big table and it's the human body, like 3D human body. And you memorize all aspects and then you go compete. So that was the initial thing. So we ended up going to the anatomage tournament and we went to nationals, which was really amazing. But anyway, I converted this after this club to make the Health and Science Institute, where it's basically just a ton of kids actually get to go on that path. And so now I have the HOSA club, and we're currently going to start working on implementing, again, I want to bring in that marked by you aspect about making a mark. And HOSA, they have like this thing where you do some sort of service project, and I want to work on making some sort of resource day with HOSA so I can impact even more people, do blood pressure checks, local affordable resources, again, like my nonprofit, and really expand it more to help as many people as I can get the needs they want. Because in the end, like, again, from personal experience and for anyone, basically, if you don't have the resources you need, it can really make a detrimental like impact on the person, and not only physically but like emotionally, and just like, yeah, a really big impact emotionally as well. That trauma and like Sigmund Freud idea, like it can really take a toll either way. So just helping as many people, inspire them, and like make the most impacts that I can, so that, because just like planting a little seed, having hope when they don't have hope is like the doctor I want to be, when you
Yeah.
just hit rock bottom and stuff like that, you want to just like inspire them a little bit, and that really can do wonders, like the crochet and all of that, I think.
Yeah, it's like I mean, one of the most obvious examples of that is, I don't know if you've ever had a teacher in elementary or middle school or high school or whatever, where they are the one who inspired your passion for certain topics or subjects, or you were a trouble kid, or I think a lot of people have this experience where they were a trouble kid, and then this just one teacher reached out to them and just stood out to them. I think you have that kind of glow or um effect on a lot of people, especially with these clubs or HOSA, or what's that called, FemSTEM.
Yeah.
that you've done. This is one thing I've been trying to do as well. You saw me as a visioneer in Gaddy. That was one of my first times ever doing something like that. I loved it. Beforehand, my entire career path was on like the psychology, becoming a psychotherapist. Now it's like I want to become a psychotherapist, but I also want to go into education. So I'm figuring out in between, right? Because I've never had that experience in my life, and it's. I mean, you get to experience this a lot, and it was the first time I've experienced this. Is that I get to have a chance to inspire or bring people up, and I've never had that chance before in my life. One thing that I want to, one example, not example. How do I say this? Oh yeah, one thing that I want to kind of learn is something that you do where you help the people at the bottom, or where if I guess somewhere closer to my profession would be helping kids in need, or like the kids who are at risk kids. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of patience and it takes a lot of empathy, but it is not only is it rewarding for you, it's rewarding for them because you can change people's lives. It's nothing unique. Yeah. Wow.
No,
Yeah.
even that patient, I mean, at the end, after I stayed, the UCLA patient that I stayed with for like 4 hours, at the end, she was like, she literally squeezed my hand and she was like, I'm never going to forget the help that you gave me. And I think that, the way she portrays her, I don't want to say like that trauma idea, like that portrays the hardship that she's going through may not be completely understood by people. And I think that just like providing that sense of like, I understand where you're at and I believe in you. I believe
Hmm.
that you can do this and that you're capable of it. And I see how special you are, how important you are. And it doesn't, you know, like
Hmm.
you can do it. And I think in the end, I mean, she really changed around like how she I mean, I felt that even the way she spoke to me kind of started to change. Like she's like, you understand me and you believe in me when I don't know, like she feels that sense of like community too.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, that's great. One thing I want to ask is, what are your next steps?
yeah. So, my first research project, I'll go into, I'll also add in like that science
Yeah.
aspect I've
Yeah.
been doing to impact. So going back to the UCI Gaddy research that I did it at the Dr. Akbari lab, which is exploring like the heart and brain connection and how to improve patient outcome, like brain outcome after resuscitation. And I mean, what first inspired me to do that is obviously my condition since it related to the heart and brain. So that research was really something that I really wanted to do, and it was amazing research that I was able to do. But also, basically, I mean, even my passion for this started from freshman year. But I went to my biotech teacher. I'm gonna just build on like the research journey and what I want to do in the future with my research. So the first research I've done, like actual research, was when I went to my biotech teacher. And actually, she wasn't my biotech teacher at the time, but I heard at my school that she was one. And I went to her with the idea of what I wanted to research. And the first research project that I wanted to do that would be doable like in a lab at my school, I said I wanted to find if the effects if natural remedies are effective as antibiotics in treating the human biome, because especially with people that have autoimmune disorders, cancers, that are especially really vulnerable to getting diseases, especially like E. coli is a common one. Um, they they would take antibiotics, frequently and they would become resistant really fast. And
Hmm.
so I wanted to find some sort of to see if any sort of natural remedy. I tried 15 different types of remedies after doing a ton of research on what is most like effective, what can be most effective to kill E. coli. And so yeah, I conducted that research to see if it would have because the human biome has a lot of good bacteria and essentially those antibiotics also you become immune to them and antibiotic resistance and it also kills that good bacteria and if people that have autoimmune disorders that have cancers, you need to save that good bacteria and so that's what I did and then I ended up taking it to the science fair and I won the science fair and then um in microbiology and competed in state. But then with UCI, I continued my research by publishing it and going further on how it can impact the human body. And so now the research project that I want to work on, because that reaches more people, I want to help as many people as possible. But the research that I'm currently working on right now is from my nonprofit and in seeing all these people that have been through their experience of not having resources. I want to catch them early, essentially, like before maybe some sort of condition, or some of them that actually do have disabilities, to be able to have those resources for them. So my research that I'm doing right now is taking I'm taking data basically from a bunch of people, randomized, and seeing, what exactly what those barriers are that are inhibiting them or limiting them from getting the help that they need, so that they could live happier and healthier lives and be able to do all those creative things that they want to do that make them happy. So I'm basically, conducting like a survey type of research, and I'm planning on doing like blood pressure checks while I'm there to kind of like help them, and maybe blood sugar checks like at free clinics and stuff like that, and basically collecting this data, so that overall, then once I get all this data, I can make some sort of, at least to help more people. Because yes, with my nonprofit, I've impacted over 500 individuals, like individually, but I want to reach more people. And so in doing this, I'm going to find kind of this common ground. Obviously, there's not going to be like one common ground of what needs help, but at least like a couple of common grounds, so that I can at least help a good amount of people. And in doing that, I would publish my research so that it could really impact other people, and, taking their emails or taking their phone numbers as I go, so that once I do conduct research, I can then help them. And I actually started this blog. It's kind of new on my nonprofit, where basically the question that it proposes for the people, especially from my past events that they've come to, or even just anyone, this can help reach more people. Because my goal is to help as many people as possible, despite, what challenges may come. I don't care. I just want to help them. And so my question on my blog is, what can I do to best help you? And how can I continue to help you in the best way possible? Because everyone comes from different backgrounds and different things that they're going through, and I want to be able to help more people as a whole. And so whatever they may message me, just like through my research or through my events, or I want to make as many outlets, as many places that people can just come, make it more accessible for them, so that they can get the resources they need, so they can catch their disability. Not, it doesn't even have to be a disability. It could be just having the resources there when needed, so that, it can prevent, something that happened to me, where it got so far so fast, and just, yeah. So then once I would collect all the data, I would find out how I can best help them with the results, and then publish that, and then continue just through my nonprofit to help people learn more and just make a greater impact. And I also plan on, with my nursing license, I also plan to work with it. I haven't worked yet, but I have worked in like the school and stuff like that as like a volunteer kind of. But I also plan to help more kids and more people through whatever they may be going through, in the best way that I can. Because yeah, even through crochet, even through artistic things, I told you about like the heart painting I made in the hospital, and like a lot of these things that can really impact these patients, I want to do to help in the best way that I can. Another thing I did was this biomechanics research that I did. I presented at Pepperdine to also help more people as a whole. I was seeing how I worked with actually Biola, University, and trying to find how to replicate the Windkessel model to help see how the blood vessels and like the like basically replicate it, so that more doctors can help more people. Because in having a replica of the Windkessel model can help understand the heart and the blood flow, and really just help more people as a whole, and prevent illustrating like blood vessel dynamics can really just help more people.
Yeah, it's in regards to research, it's not easy. At
Yeah.
least in my experience, it's not super easy to create research, especially like one, research that gets accepted into journals and lets you get published, and two, research that actually makes a lot of impact. So I'm glad that you're already putting in the effort, putting in a lot of effort into just trying to publish research now. It's not easy. But on top of that, let's look even further. After these publications, did you want to become a doctor or a researcher or whatnot?
Yeah, so I want to be I want to be a pediatric doctor, and I'm
Mm.
thinking, yeah, because my condition, I really sympathize with kids, and
Yeah.
especially from what I've been through.
When you were a kid, you had that condition, so you want to help other kids who are in like similar conditions. That makes
I
sense.
want to reciprocate that help and support. And I'm thinking cardio surgeon or neurosurgeon, but I really, just because that was also played a big role in my, I mean, cardiology and neurology. Um, I mean, I got, right now I have my CPR license and my BLS license and stuff like that, because that's good to have to help anyone in need in any situation. And I want to help more kids. I mean, everything that I've done so far, even though I'm not, a doctor yet, but that is my goal. My ultimate goal is to be a doctor. And along the way, in my pre-med journey, I hope to continue to do research and continue to help as many people as a whole until I get there. And even when I do get there, I mean, helping as many kids as I want. And to be that kind of doctor, my goal is to be that doctor that can really stand up for someone who can't stand up for themselves. That when they don't believe, I believe in them, and provide that help, like not only like physical help of like actually being a doctor and providing them with the help that they need, but also just inputting that sense of hope and creativity. And I mean, even this one doctor that I had, when they used to round after I would make my like heart paintings and really research and do a lot, especially with the Netter's Anatomy book that my certified nursing assistant, or the CNA that was there for me, introduced me to, he really did inspire me and like teach me more. Like I would show him what I learned, and he would take a brief moment to just, show me, teach me more, say some sort of fun fact, even just that. I hope to be that type of doctor that really can inspire them, because I mean, besides that physical part, I do believe that creativity and like empowering the patient and building that confidence can even quicken recovery, besides just like that actual medical aspect. Both aspects play a significant role in being able to, for the patient to heal. So
Mhm.
I hope to be that kind of doctor. I mean, the UCLA patients and like that I stayed with hours for, and I mean, I told you about that wheelchair. I mean, the little kid that was born without legs. I mean, those people are just the start of like millions of people that I want, millions of kids that I want to help. Just like the start of it. It does
Mhm.
not scratch the surface. Yeah.
Last question, and it is similar to my previous question. The previous one was, what do you want to be? And then this one is, let's say when you're close to death or when you pass away from this earth, what kind of person do you want to be known as?
So I want to be known as someone who takes the time, like this job, like going back to the other question and building on, is like being a doctor is not going to be just a job for me. Like I kind of mentioned that it's not just a dream or a goal or a job. It's literally my purpose. Like through my experience, I've realized like this is what I'm going to do. And I want to be known as someone who takes, despite how much time, it may take to help this person feel the best that they can and make them the best that they can be. And I mean, each patient is unique in their way, like the approach that you would to help them. And I've seen that through my volunteering at UCLA. And each patient that I see a lot of patients every time I go, and each person has a different personality. And I hope that when I'm a doctor, the impacts that I leave is that no matter each patient I will deal with individually and take as much time. It's not like, oh, this is the time limit for me to help them, because each patient is unique, and I hope that I leave an impact that I took the time, as much time as possible, to help that patient, to make sure they feel known, to make sure that they feel that I have hope in them, I believe in them, and that they can do it. And I want to leave an impact that not even the patients that I would help as a doctor, a pediatric doctor, not only those patients that I help, but any help that I give. It could be just like teaching someone crochet or anything. I hope that I leave an impact that no matter what patient I see, I help. It doesn't have to even be
You
a patient.
know, sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
You know, when people tell me usually like, oh, I was made to have this profession, this job, I usually approach it with a lot of skepticism, especially for someone at your age. But the experiences that you've been through and how like it's not just the experiences you've been through. You had a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of tough situations, and every single one you not only flourished, but you came out and you're like, wow, yeah, I popped off. this is definitely something that I was made for. I'm gonna keep going. And then you do that over and over and over. And it's not just like volunteering as a nurse. It's not just you kind of making these clubs or these research. It's just overall everything added together. It makes sense. You know, it makes a lot of sense that yes, you want to be a doctor. I like it. You look at these stars like, yeah, she's gonna be a doctor. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's actually a very amazing story though. Wow.
You know? Yeah. I mean, yeah, it feels like it is my purpose, and I hope that that impact that I leave, like even the patients that I help, just I mean, I teach kindergarten Bible study also on the weekend. I mean, on Friday, like every week, and
Mm-hmm.
even just giving prize box to a kid that I saw, you know, he was just like feeling real. I could tell he was just from body language. I can really sense how like the person is feeling and how I can best help them. Like I feel that I can really tell like this person they need help or they want to be left alone. I should give them space. And this one kid in particular, actually from my Bible study that I was teaching, I was like, he seemed super upset for some reason, but no one could really tell. He just seemed off. And I discovered that he had a stomach condition. He found out he had a stomach condition and he was just not feeling well. And that day he went to the doctor, and you know, just sitting there with him, I literally got one of those, you know, those tiny little kindergarten chairs,
Mm-hmm.
and I just sat with him after class, and he I mean, gave him a hug and gave him prize box, and like really just felt that he was known and, you know, he was loved. And I mean, he every time he came back, he would just like say something to me, or he felt comfortable enough that he could talk to me about like whatever it was if he didn't want to like tell someone else or like share how scared he was or whatever. He literally like he would come and talk to me, so I felt like giving that person like that kind of mutual relationship with whoever I meet, or even even if they don't have something that they're going through, making sure to build that, I guess you could call it like that trust in that way that, you know, I hear you and I believe in you, because
Mm-hmm.
that's important. It could be even as simple as that. That's the hope, like the impacts that I hope that I leave, you know. I mean, also another thing that I also did was through a engineering club. Basically, my we made this like conference where we made a design to help more people. I was kind of inspired by my grandpa who passed away, but he used to have a lot of medications to take, and
Mm-hmm.
during his time I was trying to create something that would prevent medication overdose. Basically, it would time and like give you it would like ring or like for them to take their medication, and I made it in some sort of fun way. I did like a gumball machine with I brought a team together and we kind of engineered that and presented at a conference. But I mean, again, that's like the impact I want to make is like I want whatever I see, whatever issue I see in the world, I want to try and fix it, no matter what, even if it's like this is super hard thing to even try and accomplish. I want to fix it. And
Mm-hmm.
the anatomosh table that I was telling you about, like the 3D, I mean, our team came together maybe like 2 months before the qualifier, and our team was like almost giving up. They're like, we can't do this. And I was like, no, we can do this. Like, let's just come in, and we sat together. I was like, let's make a meeting and let's make a schedule of like we will try this qualifier and we will get it. We just have to work for it, even though a lot of other schools, especially we're competing against, had like, you know, years of practice with this table, and like we just got the table at our school. And so we did. I mean, we went to the
Mm-hmm.
qualifier and we got a perfect score, and we went to nationals, and it was, yeah, top 4% in the nation that we were we like our team had completely lost hope. I was like, no, we can do it, because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, once you inspire, especially like even inspiring hope not only in my team but like in any person that I come across, like, you know, you can do it. That's like
That's actually very interesting because not only you have all the like kind of a doctor background or like science background, you also have a very innovative eye because right now I see a lot of people around me. Not many people look at problems and looks at the like resources they have and is like, I can solve that. And even fewer people do it as often as you do because you have all these clubs, all these competitions, all these, I guess not inventions, but kind of like things that you've done in your life. I've been trying to train that in my life, and I've been trying to, let's say, look for people like that a lot. There's two qualities that I look for when I kind of go and make friends or kind of do like a lot of projects with, and one of them is they have to have this innovative eye where they like to see things, and he's like, hey, I want to solve this, I want to fix this, or something like that, and I can, and I'm going to kind of create a process to do this. And the second thing is they have to be some kind of crazy, and this isn't like crazy, but it's like something like you do where you stay 2 extra hours just to help a patient. Or in my life, what happened is recently me and my friends were really, let's say, not crazy fit, and then my friend, he just signed me and him up for a marathon. By the way, we don't run for a marathon in 6 weeks, and we've been like training every day since. But it's like some kind of crazy, some kind of thing that makes you not human. And in my mind, at least, like in my experience, these are two of the many factors that makes people, let's say, stand out above the rest. And it's something I'm definitely working towards. It's something that I don't have and I want. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
like
very interesting.
yeah, having that creative, I mean, that's the hope that the impact that I make. Like whenever I see someone has like some sort of struggle or they're going through something, like how can I help? And I mean, that's why I even started that blog on my nonprofit, because like I saw so many people needing help. I was like, this is another outlet that they can use.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
how can I
Yeah.
help? You know?
That is, yeah, that's a lot. Okay. How do I end this off? I do really want to see what you do in a few years, though.
Yeah.
I do really want to see what you do in a few years, because that is a lot for someone to do. It's like that meme where people have 30 years of experience with at the age of 20, something like that. I think you're getting there. I think you're getting close to like the 30 years of experience.